What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode. Another episode?
It's another episode.
Yeah, but it's a new episode.
It's still another one. Let's go. We're keeping all this. No, we're keeping all this.
No.
This is an indication of how this show is about to start going. So let's go. So we're on another episode of the EmpowerYou Podcast. Introduce yourself.
Man. I'm going to start over.
No. This is good.
No do-overs. You're absolutely right. What's up, guys? Eva Palacios, CEO and founder of EmpowerYou Financial, and we are back and welcoming my co-host, Mr. Damian McGee.
Hello. How are you?
This is nuts. This is what happens when we take a break.
Yeah. How long was the break?
Too long.
Well, I'm glad you're back. I'm glad that you have me here. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I guess, you know what you should do, though, before we do anything?
Yeah.
You might want to tell everybody where you work. Like,
That would be a good place to start.
I feel like everybody thinks you've been in hiding or you were kidnapped or something. Like, what's going on?
I don't think I've ever laughed this much on a podcast. This is crazy to me.
Well, we're only like 30 seconds in, so let's see how this goes.
Yeah. Man, it's definitely been a journey. It's been months. Life happened. And life is going to continue to happen. And took a break. I had a pause. For those who don't know, or maybe who follow me on social media, a lot's just been happening in my life, and I had to take a pause. I was in prayer. I heard God say, focus on my boys, focus on the business. And that's when everything fell apart.
Fair enough. Okay.
And just because you pray for things don't mean it's always good. But I truly believe that God really opened my eyes, opened my ears to things that I needed to pay attention to and things that I needed to focus on and prioritize. And it got ugly, but with God's strength, he's holding down the fort. So I had to take a break. And I think that's important because I feel like we're in this world where it's go, hustle, grind. And if you keep going that way and you're not paying attention, like things can really get ugly and get bad. So I'm just super grateful that everything that God's timing is always perfect, and everything that happens for a reason. And I'm just glad that I was obedient enough to see it.
Right.
We took a break and revamping. And I never thought I would miss this podcast as much as I did.
Oh, well, that's nice. I just started, but it's good to hear. I appreciate that.
For those, who have been with me since day one, like 100 episodes yes. of amazingness, success stories, most importantly, financial literacy, credit education, life, all of that. And shout out to the listeners that have been on me, like, yo, Eva, where the podcast at? What are we doing? Like, you were my morning commute. You were my lunch break. You were while I was doing dishes or doing laundry. You were while I was picking up the kids from school. And your voice, like their kids know me. Mm-hmm. And that's super impactful. So I'm just glad to be back.
Well, and that's because you made an impact, right? It's because the things you talked about, they mattered to people. They changed the way a lot of us thought. I mean, we've talked about this. I've been a client. I am a client. I am a customer. And so, everything you've done has impacted a lot of people. And so I can imagine that they miss that voice. They miss that comfort. They miss that almost, support, if you will, for very hard decisions. Money is not an easy topic to talk about. Right. And so I can see that. And it's funny because when we talked about me coming on, and I thought, man, 100 episodes, how do I come on as the new guy? I'm sure there's somebody riding in their car like, wait, that's not the right voice. So if anyone's disappointed, I apologize. I'll do the best I can. So you said, and I know this is a financial podcast, but I also think, I think your listeners care about you as a person. And so I think before we, maybe next episode get super deep into financials, I guess the first question would be, are things better? Are things getting better? You said it got pretty bad.
Yeah.
Is the family okay? And are you okay? And are you moving in the right direction now?
I feel like I'm moving in the right direction. Mm-hmm. Definitely a whole lot of growth. And growth, while it sounds nice, it's painful.
Yeah. That's why they call them growing pains. Yep.
It's definitely painful, but I'm always, my mentors have always told me, always remain a student. Always remain a student. Always learn, keep learning. As you grow, the people that were once, following you or on your, on the journey with you, they're not always going to be on your journey. There's levels to this. And for my personality, that's probably one of the hardest things that I have to face is I love people so much that I'm like, everybody got to come with me. Like, we all got to go to the top. Like, we need to all be there together, but everybody's in different seasons and different walks in their life that I've just grown to appreciate that, love everybody where they're at and allow them. So for me, it's definitely getting better. Hired a business coach and that was hard because, financially I wasn't prepared for that investment. Considering everything that happened in business, but I also am a good student, and I've always heard my mentors tell me, takes money to make money, but understanding where to best invest the money to make sure that it's going to take you to the next level. Right. So this is where we're at. We're in a season of a relaunch, and I'm super excited about it. Because I feel, now more than ever, like I can see, even though I've always been able to envision where EmpowerYou can go, it's different when it's actually laid out on purpose. Right. And it's very structured. It's very organized. It's very intentional. And that's super exciting to me because for the first 2 years in business, like I just operated. I just went. I just built a business and I just did, and I operated in my gifts and in my superpower, which that's what I love. Like, that's me. That's what I do. But when you have a team of people or you have the right coaches or the mentors in your life that help put things into perspective, help put your dreams, your ideas on paper, like that's a whole nother level.
Well, and it sounds like, so we talked a little bit before we started the podcast, and we said we were going to focus on kind of where you'd been, right? Why were you gone? Where did you disappear to? But it really sounds like what we and the listeners should be focusing on is the rebirth, right? The reemergence and the never staying down, even if you fall down or get knocked down. And and it sounds like you have a new energy, but this feels like a much more controlled and calculated energy.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's not just, hey, let's go, let's have a party. This is very like, no, I'm still me and I still have this energy, but I'm being very intentional about the moves I make now. Is that accurate at all?
Yes, absolutely. And I will always say, just because you're in the gutter doesn't mean you got to live there.
Absolutely.
And while a lot, a huge part of me was like, I can't be in this gutter for this long. Like, this is not who I am. But on purpose, I felt God say, I don't care. It's not your time. Like, you need to sit down, chill out, get with the right people, and see where you're at. But most importantly, like, it's go time now. Yeah. Like, the first 2 years, oh, that's cool. Like, you helped a lot of people. But now I need you to help more people. Right. And in order to help more people, I need to have the right systems in place. Right. I need to have the right team. I need to have what it takes to be able to take this business to, in my vision, $1 billion business. Right. So it's time to get very intentional. It's definitely time to invest in the right people and the right systems to be able to make that happen. Right. Because I strongly believe I'm walking in my purpose to serve his children and I want to serve all of his children, but I can't do it by myself.
Well, it's funny because you said, when you were down, if that's the phrase we want to use, you even said, this isn't me. Like, I don't stay in this position that long. But I think, it's interesting because that's almost the problem with most of us, right? As soon as we're down, or as soon as something gets uncomfortable, then we're like, how do I get up as fast as possible?
Right.
Without taking the time to realize, how did we get here? What am I supposed to learn while I'm here?
Right.
What do I want to do different when I get up, right? Most of us are just like, nope, uncomfortable. Get me out of this. How do I get out of this? How do I get back? But then we wonder why we keep repeating the same things, right? Because we're not learning anything.
Definitely not learning. Yeah. You're just go, go, go. And really like running around with your head cut off. And if we don't identify the problem, if we don't identify what space we're coming from, then we're really never going to be able to grow into the new space that he has planned for us. Yeah. So, and
it's funny because anybody who's out there like, hey, why are they trying to do personal development? This is empower you. Help me with my money. It's funny because I think this applies to money, right?
Absolutely.
So you can do whatever and you get yourself in a hole, or you get yourself in a rut, and you're like, this isn't how I live. This isn't what I do. I need an injection. I need to win the lottery. I need whatever. But money doesn't fix money problems, right? You have to reevaluate you at some point.
Louder for the people in the back. Louder for the people in the back.
Right.
Well, and what's constant? What's constant is life is always going to happen. Yep. The question is financially, are you prepared? And I don't know what people think, what kind of lifestyle I live, but
you balling. Did you just get off a jet before we started? I heard it outside.
Stop.
That wasn't a jet?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not yet.
I thought it was.
Not yet. I will
might
manifest
have been a car backfiring, but it sounded like a jet. I thought it was a jet.
But like, let's be real. When times get tough, you need to buckle down. Yeah. And that's what I did. Now, granted, you may have seen on social media, took the boys to Orlando for Christmas, was in Chicago and then went to Cancun and all. Guys, all of that stuff was already paid for.
Yeah.
Like, it was, number one, very planned out, already paid for, capitalized on credit card rewards, like legit free stuff.
Right.
So even though times got tough, these weren't additional expenses that I was obligated or felt obligated, because that's another thing. As parents, as moms, when we suffer, we don't want any of that to fall to our children.
Right.
But because I've always been intentional with my money, my finances, and planning things accordingly, all of that stuff that you saw happening, that wasn't even impacting financially.
Right.
But because I had to take a pause and I wasn't taking on new mentees, that was income that was not coming in. But because planned accordingly, financially, we didn't suffer. And that's what's important. Right. Because a lot of people out there, they're go, 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 check, 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 work, 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 get paid. But when life hits,
they got nothing.
They have nothing.
No buffer.
No buffer whatsoever.
Yep.
And that is super important because life is always going to hit.
Yeah.
The question is how are you going to react?
Right.
And how quickly can you come back out of that? So.
Well, it's funny because for these few months, you've truly been living what you teach people, right? It's
absolutely.
Make sure your credit is right. Make sure you have these limits. Make sure you have things paid off. Make sure you have a high score. Make sure you have the bandwidth. Make sure you have the business credit, because what you do today is not necessarily going to be available to you tomorrow. So if that happens, you need something to fall back on, right? And that doesn't mean you went out and ran up all your credit cards over the last few months.
No,
it just
that
means
would have made it worse.
Right?
That would have added a whole bunch more pressure.
But like you said, it means you for however long you racked up points. So even while you were struggling, let's say, you were still able to do things with your family because you had points, or because you had rewards, or because you'd planned, right? So you get to weather the seasons a little bit differently when you plan for them. Right?
Absolutely.
Instead of suffering through them.
And you're in position to to be able to make those moves.
Right.
Because you either have savings to fall back on, or you have certain insurances to protect you during losses. Yeah. And, you know, I'm sure, well, for those of you who don't know, my oldest son, Desmond, he's a producer of this podcast, and he's probably looking at me sideways right now talking about, Mom don't play. When we were in Orlando and we went to go get groceries because we did not eat out every single day just because it looks like we were on vacation, we had a trip to Walmart.
Right.
And I gave the boys a budget.
Right.
The budget was like $150. And I broke out my phone, calculator time, and I'm like, all right, guys, we're here for a week.
That's a lot of money. Y'all was balling.
Whatever. 150 with 3 boys?
You know how many of the unnamed sodas you can get? Like, just get the red can, the blue can, the orange can. That's a lot.
So 3 growing boys
right.
and me, $150 for the week. I'm like, boys, make it work. These guys, I absolutely love that they are paying attention, because my youngest, Mateo, was like the most in terms of, well, wait a minute. The generic brand is this,
I love it.
And the name brand is this, but look at how much more cheap it is. And it tastes the same. So let's get the generic.
He said, why we paying $3 more for the character on the bag? Let's get the one without a character and we're good.
Yes.
Right.
While everybody else was hangry.
Right.
Number 1 tip, y'all. If y'all don't know, don't go to the grocery store on an empty stomach, because you will buy everything in sight. But they all worked together. There was definitely some disagreements, but I loved every moment of it, because that shows me that they're listening. And one day when I'm no longer on this earth, they're going to remember these conversations. They're going to remember these types of experiences. They're going to remember, remember when Crazy Mom took us to Orlando and we had to go grocery shopping? All of that good stuff. Like, these are the things that we need to be teaching our kids. Yeah. And not be afraid. Like, not be afraid. There's to
let them know that, like, we're in a different season right now.
Different season.
We need to be smarter. We need to do stuff differently.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. And while we were on our trip, I mean, I took gift cards with us, gift cards to certain restaurants, gift cards to do like certain things. But most importantly is just being open with your family and having these types of discussions, talking about it's a different season. We got to buckle down and not be afraid, because with a lot of my mentees, I always hear the same thing. And the thing is I don't want to let my children down. They're good kids. I want to give them everything I didn't have growing up. While that's great, the question is financially, are you even in position to do that? Yeah. Because if that means you got to get into debt to make them happy, what are we raising?
Debt, and you're just going to leave them debt.
And when you're not here, you're going to transfer that debt to them.
Yeah.
So, like, let's really think about how we're actually impacting and empowering our children. Yeah. Not just by the things we buy them, but the education and information that we're giving them. Right. That can then be generational wealth transformed to their kids.
Well, and it's also, just to be clear, for those of us Walmart shoppers, we're not saying going to Walmart is a bad thing.
No, what are you talking about? I was just at Walmart.
No, I'm just saying.
I'll be there.
But when you say, like, yeah, we had to cut back, so we're going to Walmart. Some people shop at Walmart all the time.
I'm always at Walmart.
But I think
no fool.
I think it's important that what you're saying is, like, everyone has an aspect in their life where they're going to have to cut back. For some people, it's turning off the cable. For some people, it's the shoes that you buy are now a different brand.
Buy one, get one.
Or, right. Your shoes, your clothes aren't coming from the Nike store. They're coming from the Nike outlet or from Marshalls or whatever. Like,
or gift cards from the credit cards.
Exactly, right? Let's go. Everybody has something that if they just made a small tweak on it.
Oh, absolutely.
Or if they just brought down their standards. And I know people hate to say this, I'm never lowering my standards. I would argue, where did you create the standards to begin with?
Yes.
Because a lot of people created the standards based on what they thought everybody else wanted them to do anyway. Yeah. They don't even know why those are their standards, right?
Yeah.
So we're so determined, I'm not lowering my standards. Man, your standards don't even make any sense. or your budget doesn't match your standards, right?
Yes.
Like, be smart. But anyway, the point is, it's not about what grocery store you shop at. It's where in your life can you take a pause and pull back and downsize, if you will, and just say, do we really need, like you said, do we really need to go to the most expensive grocery store in our neighborhood,
right?
When Walmart is perfectly fine,
Yeah.
or whatever your store is,
Dollar Tree, like
exactly.
whatever. Like at the end of the day, yes, there are certain products that may taste different because they're created by different brands.
Yeah.
I get it. I don't know.
But you know what else tastes? You know what else tastes different?
What?
Vacation food. When you can afford a vacation.
Yes.
So give me some Walmart cereal so I can eat some vacation food in a couple of months.
I was so proud because Desmond was like, Mom, like, I also shop at Costco and I buy the Bimbo bread. And the Bimbo bread? Bimbo?
What is that?
Bimbo.
What's that?
It's a Latin brand.
Bimbo?
Yeah, Bimbo.
That was pronounced bimbo where I was from, and that was not bread. But go ahead.
Bimbo, si estás.
Okay.
Hablando español.
Okay.
Anyways,
all right.
So over there, I want to say like 2 loaves is like, I don't know, $2.99, $3.
Okay.
So we're at Walmart, and Desmond, picks up the Walmart bread, and I'm like, no, we got to get the Bimbo bread. And he's like, why, Mom? The Walmart bread is like $1. The Bimbo bread is like $4. Yeah. And I'm like, really? I'm like, no, that's generic. It's not the same. It's going to fall apart. He's like, Mom, when you're not home, I always buy this bread. And I'm like, okay, fine. We're going to get this bread.
Right.
Man, thank goodness we get the bread. We saved all kinds of money on that bread.
Did
$3.
Did the bread fall apart?
No, it was so good. I'm like, all right, son, let's go.
I think if that were me and somebody was like, the bread's going to fall apart, I'd be like, hold it tighter. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, because some generic bread, it crumbles. And when you're eating a sandwich, then you put tomatoes and then it gets soggy. It's all bad.
Whole different discussion. We'll save that for our food blog podcast. We'll start that one next week. But
I think what is most important is just because you're going through a season to where you need to adjust or readjust doesn't mean you got to be there forever.
Yeah.
But let's sacrifice. Let's sacrifice and cut back a little bit. Every dollar counts. And like, I swear, I'm like, I just think that I'm just different. Like, I have no problem shutting things off.
Right.
Like, cable, gone.
Right.
If I can figure out how to, like, get electricity for free, like, well, I got solar. But still, like, if I can eliminate all kinds of stuff, like, we cut everything off.
I'm sure there's some people where we grew up that could tell you how to get electricity for free, but I don't think it's legal. So let's not do that. let's go ahead and pay the electric bill. We'll be fine.
But no, I have no problem scaling back. Right. Like that's, no.
Well, and the crazy part is at least from what I've seen and from a lot of people that I've encountered or that I'll talk to is we're so, and I went through this when it's time to cut back, when it's time to scale down, we're so worried about what are they going to think?
Yes.
If, right. What's everybody going to think if I sell my car? Oh, what's everybody going to think if we sell the house and get a 2-bedroom condo for right now? What's everybody going to think when I'm coming out of Walmart instead of Whole Foods? And while it's a real thought and it evokes real emotions, like it will for real hurt in your chest.
Yeah.
The reality is most people don't care. Like no one is paying attention. No one comes to your house and is like, this ain't Whole Foods bread.
Right.
I don't think I'll eat here.
Right.
Then go home. Like, what you want me to do? Right. Like, but we've convinced ourselves that, and I mean this with love to your listeners because they're not used to me and I'm a little more harsh than you are. But we've convinced ourselves that everybody's watching what we're doing. And the reality is everyone has their own problems.
And even if they are watching what we're doing, who cares?
Who cares? Right, exactly.
Like, they ain't paying our bills.
Right,
they ain't contributing to the bank account.
Right.
Like, why are we so consumed with social media and look at them and they got the cars, they got the clothes, they got the brands, they got this.
And you don't know nothing.
We don't know what their bank account looks like.
We don't know anything about their life.
What if those brands are supporting them and sending them stuff for free for them to then go out and be the social media person that they are to sell their stuff? Like, you don't know. Yeah. So, like, let's not live to what we think other people's expectations of us is. Like, let's live for us.
I think I'm going to start. This has got me thinking. I think in my house, I'm going to start BYOB get-togethers.
Yeah.
But it's going to be bring your own brand. So if you don't like what I have, you bring your own brand. It don't even matter to me. So
I love it.
We're going to start BYOB parties, but a different kind.
I'm down.
Okay, so that's that. So let's talk about real quick, and then we'll get out of here and just get everybody ready for the next podcast. I promise we'll work on credit stuff and financial stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
But this is that. I mean, I still believe this is that, right?
Yes.
Like mindset has to do with it. Cutting back has to do with it.
Yeah.
Growing pains have to do with it. That's all part of the money journey, right? So
money is a part of life.
Yeah.
Like you need it just as bad as breathing.
Yeah.
Like you need money to put a roof over your head. You need money to eat. You need money to put gas in your car. Like you need it. The question is how much do you need to help you get to whatever financial goals you're trying to achieve? So, and like at the end of the day, I believe that's why I'm different, because in the coaching program, yes, while it's focused on finances and credit, we talk about life.
Right.
We talk about when something happens, illness, loss, income loss, just shifts in the economy. Like that's all a part of it.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, like if we're not educated, if we're not getting the right information, listening to the right sources to keep us on track to get us to where we need to be, then you will find yourself stuck.
Yeah.
And you will find yourself in a hardship.
Yeah.
And you might find yourself going backwards and increasing debt loads and making not the best financial moves. Because when emotions come into play, those generally are very expensive financial moves.
Absolutely.
And for those that are, personalities like me, where, we go, and, we got to be a part of everything, and we love on people, and we just care so much, those emotions can get the best of people.
Yeah.
And we need to be mindful of that. So, yeah, no.
Well, it's like all the you and I have some of the same coaches and mentors and personal development people and even pastors and things like that.
Yes.
And the common thread, whether you're religious or not, whether you go to church or not, whether you listen to personal development or not, the common thread is always, you can't help other people if you don't take care of you. Right?
Absolutely.
You can't donate if you don't have money.
That's right.
You can't give somebody a place to sleep if you don't have a place to sleep. Like you can't feed somebody if you don't have food. Right. Whatever it is, if you give it all away, so to speak, without taking care of home first,
absolutely, you're
going to become the recipient, not the giver. Yeah. Right? You become the charity case, not the charitable one.
Ooh, that's good.
Right? That's how
absolutely.
It works.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. And that's why I continuously am always filling my cup.
Yeah.
Because I know the importance behind, if my cup isn't filled, I cannot pour into others.
Absolutely.
And that's super important.
Absolutely.
And that's why I follow certain people, and that's why I continue to not only invest in the business, but invest in myself.
Right.
Because a better me is going to mean a better home.
Yeah.
It's going to mean a better business. It's going to mean better relationships.
A better mother, a better whatever.
All of that. And let me tell you guys, like, man, it has been tough. Like, especially in the mom position. Mm-hmm. Like it's been a real reality check becoming a single parent. And trying to navigate that part of life, and still trying to run a business, and still trying to take care of me, and still trying to wear all the other hats. And that's where a lot of it was why I scaled back, which is why, like, a lot of people have been like, oh my gosh, like, I don't see you on social media, or when they do finally see me on social media, they're like, oh my God, like, so good to see you, you're smiling and all this stuff. I have my transparent moments.
Right.
Which, like, there was some sadness and crying
right.
on social media.
I cry a lot on my social media too.
Stop.
All the time.
Yeah.
Like, I think daily, right?
Behind closed doors.
Yeah, no, I don't post them. I just open my social media and I cry all the time, and then I move on.
You're crazy. But yeah, I think it's also important, right? Like, because again, social media can be so good and so bad at the same time.
Yeah.
And the bad part is a lot of people don't feel they can be open and transparent.
Yep.
And I think, if anything, if you can show those moments of vulnerability and transparency to share with your audience, you can connect with them so much better. Like, they can really see like who you are, and that you are a regular human being.
Right.
Like, you aren't this superhero that is just strong and built and saving the world. No, like, there are those moments. Yeah. And
but let's stress moments.
Yes.
Because what we don't want is and yes, there are real conditions and people have really traumatic things in life, so I don't want to downplay that.
Yeah.
But what you're not saying is go on social media every single day, talk about all your problems, cry all the time, talk about everyone who did you wrong, talk about every bad relationship. Like,
yeah, no.
There needs to be a balance, right?
Absolutely.
Like, people don't want to see, because that just breaks their spirit, right? Like, no, I don't log on to something for.
Like, truth be told, I unfollow those people.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, you become a product of your environment.
Yeah.
And if you're constantly feeding yourself the negativity,
yep,
or you're following those people that just aren't feeding your soul, then they're going to take you down with them.
And because you start saying it, you don't even realize it, right? Like, you're watching somebody and then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, that really is. Yeah, that happened to me too. Yeah, I remember when I was, and then you're just like, what is happening? Yeah. Like, someone is literally taking your mood in the completely opposite direction.
Definitely. Yeah. So yeah, I unsubscribe to those. and sometimes, sorry, like, I delete them. Yeah. And maybe they're in a season, but I'm in a season 2 and I'm not trying to receive that.
And again, moments are good. We're not saying don't be vulnerable. We're not saying don't cry. We're not saying don't tell the world you need a hug or you need some help or you need support. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is, please have something else there as well.
And seek help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seek help.
Social media is not help. Instagram is not help.
Let's talk about therapy. Like, that's probably a whole other podcast.
We'll save that one.
But like, seek help.
Yeah.
Like, seek help, because this world is filled with so many amazing people with talents and skills that can help you in the areas that you need help with. But you got to ask for help and not be, not have that pride and not be always so strong. You got this. No, your girl needs help.
Yeah.
Now I got help.
Yeah, nice.
And now we get to turn things around.
So,
and now we get to bounce back.
So, speaking of bouncing back, speaking of turning things around.
Yes.
Before we get out of here, what are, just give me a couple, and over time, obviously, we'll be able to go through all kinds of stuff that you do in the business and what that looks like. But what, I know one of your things is getting back to why you started doing this to begin with.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about that, and then what's different? Like, what are a couple of new things in the business? What are a couple of things that, maybe somebody before said, man, I really like listening to her, but I don't know how she can help me, or I'm just taking notes on every podcast, but it's not fixing. Like, what are some of the things, just what's new? What's going to be available for people as you rebrand and bounce back?
Well, first off, this fabulous looking podcast set.
Hey.
Let's start with that. Hey. Like, we did the whole professional
Welcome
vibes.
to my garage, y'all. This is not, it's not my garage. I'm sorry. But
now shout out to my oldest. Desmond definitely put this stuff together. Like, I cannot wait to throw this on the new YouTube channel.
Yes.
Right? So that's another new thing. New podcast, new YouTube channel, whole lot more new content. Most importantly, revamp of the Lions Club. You've heard me say this multiple times. I'm here to serve. But I feel I'm not serving everyone. Yeah. And while I know I can't help everyone,
right,
I should be available to more people. I should be available to serve more people. So we're completely restructuring. Nice. Restructuring price points, restructuring programs, being very systematic, very structured, which I've always been structured, but somewhere I lost that. And I now recognize it. Like, part of growth is recognizing where you came from And a lot of that was I just relied on the wrong people that said they were going to do things and they weren't getting done. And because I was operating from my coaching space and focusing on what I'm put on this earth to do, I wasn't holding the right people accountable. So we lost a lot of that.
Right.
And at the end of the day, I feel I'm the face and it's my fault. So now it's like, okay, you know what? Been there, done that. We're learning. We're growing. So now it's time to take it to the next level. So I'm super excited about the future of EmpowerYou, the structured programs, events.
Yeah, that's right. You gotta know, you have your first live event coming up, right?
We do.
When is that and where is that?
Oh my gosh. It's so crazy because for those who don't know, like I was an introvert for a very long time.
Right.
And a lot of it had to do with 17 years working at the job inside of a cubicle, didn't have to talk to people in person, was behind a phone. And when I turned entrepreneur, I learned real quick, we can't live like that. Like we got to shake hands and hug babies. So, I've always had a fear of speaking. Y'all think I'm crazy, but yes, I've always had a fear of speaking. But at that job, they trained me to speak, which at that job, I did host little mini workshops for different financial institutions to help their members. And then I launched business. So now I got to get in front of people. So long story short, I'm just so excited because that has always been one of my dreams, was to host a conference and just serve the masses because there is only one of me for now.
Yeah.
That's another part. But there's only one of me and I want to be able to serve the masses. So yes, EmpowerYou Financial Conference happening Saturday, March 25th here in Stockton. We're taking it back to where I started.
Stockton, what? Not everybody knows where Stockton is.
I'm sorry. Stockton.
I know here in Stockton, y'all feel like it's the world and then Stockton or Stockton in the world. But
you're right.
Yeah.
It's Stockton, California.
All right.
And we are taking it back to where I first started speaking with, a different business at the downtown University Plaza Waterfront Hotel.
Nice.
On Fremont Street. So,
and that's not, at least as of right now, I know it's not solid, but you're not planning on that being the only one this year, right?
No,
you're looking
definitely not.
You're looking at Dallas, I think.
Dallas.
Considering Chicago. Yeah. So
I want someplace nice and beachy, so maybe we might be in Florida.
Chicago's, haven't you ever seen Lake Michigan?
That is not the same. That's a lake. That's not a beach.
Hey, no, I'm just kidding.
But no, I definitely, I want to take this. I want to take this and it scares me.
Yeah.
Your girl gets scared. Like, don't think we all strong all the time, but we're scared. But that's the best part of growth is you got to get outside of your comfort zone. I will say this. We definitely are going to have an amazing conference, big room, but we're keeping it small.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I want to be able to connect with people. And for me, it's not about having the room packed and making all this money. It's about impacting people.
I've noticed that, like when we talked about your event, there aren't, you have a pretty good social media following. Obviously, people know you in this community and in this area, and just through the podcast. But you didn't go after, can I get 5,000 people in one space, and can I just for the sake of doing it? You were very intentional about saying, I do not want it to go over this number because this is the number that I feel like I can personally connect with, and people feel like they're a part of the room.
Absolutely.
I like it.
Yes. Because that's important to me.
Yeah.
If you've been following me long enough, I will always say it's never about the money with me. It's about the impact. It's about inspiring people, motivating them, coaching them, loving on them, and getting that up close and personal vibe with them, because I know that's what fuels me, and I know that's what fuels many. So we're going to have 200 general admission, and we're going to have 48 VIPs.
That's it.
250.
Not even 250.
Not even 250.
Okay. All right.
Yep. So super excited. Can't wait till that information is officially released, and y'all can click the link and get your ticket. Because
so what we'll do is we'll try to make sure we get the information. Well, we won't try. All of our coaches would kill me for saying that. We will get the information for the next episode.
Yes.
Make sure there's a link available. We'll make sure you can give them the link. Anybody who is in Stockton, who wants to come to Stockton.
We actually already have people coming outside of California.
Oh, really?
Yes.
From where?
Ohio.
What?
Michigan.
They knew where Stockton was?
You know what?
No, I'm just playing.
Stop it. My people love me, no matter what you think.
I love it. So Ohio, you said? Michigan?
Ohio, Michigan, Texas.
Love it.
So far, because I mean, we've kind of kept it, we released a little bit.
Insider circle so far.
Club.
Yeah.
So they're like, let's go, ready.
I love it.
So, and they're like VIP. So there goes 3 tickets already gone.
Nice. I love it. I love it. I love it.
So I don't know. We might not even have VIP by the time we release.
I know, right? By the time it gets to the public.
The Lions
right.
first.
Everybody like, you said 48. You're like, yeah, that was last week. Sorry.
Left. There's
right.
2 left.
Right.
But it's going to be amazing. I'm super excited. Especially for the VIP. The VIP, they're going to get a private lunch with me, one-on-one time, Q&A. Again, only 48 spots for that. Again, keeping it very close and personal, especially for those that may be traveling some distance. Yeah. But I'm super excited because, that right there. It's amazing to be online and pouring into people via social media and Zoom, but it's a whole different vibe
to be in person
when you're in the room.
Absolutely.
And for those that are entrepreneurs, business owners, you guys know the importance behind getting inside the room and who you can network with and who you can lock arms with and create your own relationships because of one common goal, and that's financial literacy. So I'm excited.
I love it. I'm excited for you.
Yes.
I'm excited to be a part of this podcast.
Yes.
I've been a devoted listener. I think I was on, how many times? Like 2 times of the first 100?
You
at
definitely.
least twice, right?
Yes.
2 or 3. Because I was on the 100 episode. I was on the last one.
You were on the final episode.
And then.
Number 100.
I know I was on the one earlier because I was complaining about an old credit repair person, but y'all wouldn't let me say their name. Yeah. So we're going to have a whole episode just because you let me be on this with you. We're going to have a whole episode.
On who is Mr. Damian McGee and why is he here?
We're definitely not having an episode on that because no one listening cares about that. They care about you. No, I was going to say we're going to have a whole episode where we break down credit repair and why it is not what it claims to be.
All of it. Yeah. All of the stuff.
We should really get into that.
Of course. That's definitely... and for the first time listeners, go back. There's 100 episodes. You will, listening to all of them, you'll obviously experience my journey. You will get a whole lot of golden nuggets.
But I'm not there, so it might not be the same. It's not my.
It's definitely not going to be the same.
If I just became your favorite, you just going to have to keep listening in the future because I'm not on the past. But.
Right. Or you can just start here.
Yeah, just start here. This is
here, good. Because money and finances never get old. It's definitely a tool
Bills
that
keep
we all need to perfect. Yeah. And life doesn't stop. So let's go.
It's gonna be fun. Thank you for having me. I cannot wait. I'll come up with some little weird line to start stuff off.
I know we got to get our spiel together, our intro together. We got to figure that out. How that works.
Yeah, All right, we'll see what we come up with. But if anybody has suggestions, tell them to hit you up on Instagram and they can tell us what we should open and close with. But other than that, we'll just start talking and they can jump in.
That's right.
All right. Well, it's good to see you. To everybody who's listening, thank you. Eva's back. We're super excited, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks, guys.